What's going on, guys? Let me just adjust this for a second. All right, so today what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over the weather instruments. Okay, so it was this worksheet that I sent out yesterday. Hopefully, you guys had some time to look it over. I know that some of you guys already submitted it, but we're just gonna go over it, practice. Okay, really quick. Two of the things. So hopefully you have your answers out in front of you. The other thing that I just want you to have is your Earth Science reference table, because a lot of these questions come right through page 12 and 13. Okay, so reference table, page 12 and 13. So we're going to go through these right now. Okay, so for number one, all right, it's asking you what is the approximate dew point temperature if the dry bulb temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. Okay, so for number one, all right, they're telling us dry bulb equals 10 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's the first part. Now it's telling us that the wet bulb, all right, equals 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's our two parts. It's asking us what the dew point is, though. All right, so this is important because this is telling us what graph we're going to be looking on page 12. Okay, so I'm going to open up my reference table. I'm going to go to page 12. Now there's two graphs on it, like I said before. There's the dew point graph, okay, at the top, and then there's relative humidity. We're asking for dew point, so we're only going to be looking at the dew point, okay? Now, you'll also notice, and I'm just going to put this over here, that there's two different parts of the graph, okay? And then you have a bunch of numbers on the side. So at the top, it's the difference between, all right, the dry / wet bulb, okay? Now on the x-axis, the y-axis that's going up and down, right? It is the dry bulb temperature, okay? So we're looking at two parts. We already have our dry bulb, all right? So when we get to our graph, we're going to be looking at the 10 degrees Celsius mark, and then we have to follow that over to where it intercepts with the difference, okay? But we didn't calculate the difference yet. All we have to do is we have to find the difference of the dry bulb and the wet bulb. So we have 10, and then we have 8. So the difference is going to be 2 degrees Celsius, okay? So we find where 2 degrees Celsius is. It's going to be more towards the left on your graph than to the right. We follow it down. Wherever it hits, okay, that is going to be our dew point temperature. So if you do that, you're actually going to have it connect both of those lines at 6 degrees Celsius, okay? And how do I know that it's in Celsius? Because the top graph, it gives us the symbol. This is always in Celsius, okay? So number one is 6 degrees Celsius, which comes out to being letter C, okay? So let's try this again now. Let's do number two. So number two is asking us for the dew point again. So we're going to be using our reference table, okay? So I'm just going to put this up here, Earth Science reference table. It's always going to be page 12, okay? With these questions at least coming up. So dew point. When the air temperature is 18 degrees Celsius. So this is kind of a trick. The dry bulb, right? That's just the regular bulb that's hanging out, okay? If it is 12 degrees or 18 degrees Celsius, that's the dry bulb temperature. So we're going to write dry bulb. Just another way of saying it is 18 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now, if we go to the wet bulb, they're telling us it's 13 degrees Celsius. Okay. So we have our dry bulb number, which we're going to be using. Now we have to find the difference. So just, put the little subtraction, 18 minus 13, and you get 5 degrees Celsius. So those are our two numbers we're going to be using, 18 and 5 degrees Celsius. We plug that in to our top chart, We follow it across, okay? And you are actually going to get them to hit at 9 degrees Celsius, which equals to A. Okay? Notice I never say Fahrenheit because that whole chart, it's all in Celsius. All right, so those are the first two. Now what we're going to do is we are going to look at number 3. So the temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit would approximately equal how many degrees in Celsius? So this one's a little different because now we're looking at temperature instead of dew point in relative humidity. So we're actually going to flip to the next page, which is going to be page number 13. So page number 13 you have to be careful with because the answer, it's easy to find out, but sometimes if you're looking at the wrong spot, okay, you might end up converting it wrong. So I'm going to erase this for a second. Keep this up here. All right, so on the top left of page 13, you have your temperature chart, okay? So you have your temperature, and there's 3 actual lines that go down. So you have your Fahrenheit, all right? Then you have your Celsius, and then you have Kelvin, okay? And it's kind of something like this. So you just have to find out which one they're asking for. So for this, they're asking for Fahrenheit, okay? They're telling you that it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit would approximately equal how many degrees Celsius. So you find 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you follow it across, and you're going to get 27 degrees Celsius, which makes number 3 A. Okay? So that's going to be the answer. Number 4, according to the Earth Science Reference Table, when the dry bulb reading is 10 degrees Celsius and the wet bulb temperature is 2 degrees Celsius, the dew point temperature of the air is approximately. So for number 4, okay, number 4 is another one where we're going to be using page 12, our dew point, all right? So they give us our dry bulb is 10 degrees Celsius. Our wet bulb, okay, is 2 degrees Celsius. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the difference. So the difference, if we minus those, is going to be 8 degrees Celsius. We have our dry bulb, which is 10 degrees Celsius. We look at the dry bulb 10. We follow it down from the 8, okay? And you're actually going to get negative 14 degrees Celsius, which comes out to being letter D, okay, for number 4. How are we doing so far? Any questions? Again, if you have a question, just write it in the chat box, and then I will answer it, okay? Number 5, an air pressure of 29.65 inches of mercury is equal to how many millibars? So now we're going to jump to page 13 again, where we have pressure, okay? So your pressure, you have 2 sides of it, all right? You have your millibars, and then you have your inches. For this case, they give us our inches in mercury. We just have to go from this side to that side when we convert it. So for number 5, it's going to give you 1,004.0 millibars, okay? So number 5, if you convert 29.65, okay, that's in inches. So we're going to be on this side on page 13, okay? This is all on page 13. Follow it across. It's going to equal millibars, 1,004.0 millibars. So you put MB, okay? And that comes out to being letter B for your answer. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing. An air pressure of 1,026 millibars on this side is equal to how many inches of mercury. So now we're going to flip-flop. Now we're starting on this side, and we got to go to this side on page 13. So number 6, we have our 1,023 millibars. Okay, how much is that going to equal in inches? When you follow it across, it's going to give you 30.21, okay, inches. And that is going to be letter C. And then the last one where we're converting a temperature, all right, 73 degrees Fahrenheit is approximately equal to the temperature of. So instead of going to our pressure chart, we're now looking at our dry bulb and our wet bulb, okay? We're going back to the temperature chart. So if we go from 73 degrees Fahrenheit and we go across, it's going to be 23 degrees Celsius, okay? Which is going to be letter A, all right? Does anyone have any questions on the first page before we go to the next one? All right, so I'm going to erase this, and then we're going to go to the next one. All right, I'll put the diagram up. Okay, so for basically the whole next page, we get a weather station, okay? So this weather station kind of looks like this. Let's see, 130, 28, 25. Okay, so there's a lot more numbers on this than we're used to from earlier this week, okay? But as long as we go to, all right, the bottom of page 13 for this, we can get all the answers, okay? Now, one of the questions was a little bit tricky because it's asking you the direction of the wind, not the name of it, okay? So we're going to get into that. But the first part, we're going to go for number 8. It's asking for the pressure, okay? So the pressure for this station model, if we go to our reference table on page 13, okay, we are going to notice that is the top right, okay? So our pressure for this, all right, is going to equal 130.0 millibars, okay? Because that's the units it gives us. So for number 8, the answer choice, and I'll do this in red, is going to be B, okay? Now, if we go to number 9, it's asking us, what is the approximate temperature in Celsius? Okay. So remember, this is a little tricky. If you notice, it says 31, okay? But if we look at our reference table, is the 31 in Fahrenheit or Celsius? And when you look, it's actually in Fahrenheit, okay? So we actually have to take this 31, bring it to the reference table, and plug it in and change it to Celsius. So 31 degrees actually goes to -1 degree Celsius, okay? So when we go to -1 degree Celsius, we'll see that that's actually one of the choices. So number 9 is going to be C, -1 degree Celsius, okay? All right, number 10, this is the question that was a little tricky, all right? I see that a lot of you, right? We were looking at the barb coming out of the weather station, and I always told you guys that winds are named after, okay, where they're coming from. So where we are, if we're getting a wind from the north, it's a north wind. If we're at the beach and we're getting that ocean breeze, especially on the South Shore, it's a south wind, okay? But for number 10, they're asking you, in what is the wind direction recorded at the weather station, okay? So you can actually answer it both ways. Are we going to name it where it's coming from or where it's going, All right. So the wind direction, I always think if they're asking for wind direction, it's where it's going to go. Okay. So if you have trouble with this, remember to always put a compass near your weather station. Okay. North is always the top, south is always the bottom, west and east. Okay. So we have our barb coming out, right? So we connect it like that. Which way is it going? If we take this circle out and we put it in an arrow, it's actually going southwest. Okay. Now, the problem with this question is it has two of the same answers for both parts. So you could put B or D for that. Okay. All right. Number 11. What is the wind velocity at the weather station? Remember, there's only 3 symbols. You can have a small little barb coming out. Okay. So that's 5 knots. You have a longer one, that's 10. And then you can have a triangle, okay, which can be sticking out whatever way that the angle is, and that's going to be 50, all right? If these are getting added up, all right, you just add them with it, okay? You're never going to have 5 of these lines coming out of one thing. They would just make it, instead, to make it nice and organized, they would just make it a triangle, make it 50, okay? So if we look at that one, we'll see we got a long one and a short one, so it's 10 minus 5. So it's going to be 15 knots, okay? Remember, it's not asking you to give me miles per hour. We're going to keep it in knots. So 15 knots, that's going to be choice A. All right, so now number 12. It's asking you, what is the cloud cover at the weather station? So the cloud cover, all we're looking for in this is we're looking at the circle and how much of it is shaded in. For our weather station, it's always, the whole thing's shaded in. So it's going to be 100%, which is going to let us choose choice D, letter D. Now the last one, number 13, okay? Number 13, the weather forecast for the next 6 hours at the station most likely would be. So we got to figure this out. Is it going to be sunny, like choice 1 says? No, right? Because it's telling us it's cloudy right now. So we can cross out letter A. Now we have 3 choices that are overcast. The one that gives it away is the next one gives us the temperature, okay? So B says cold, and then C and D say it's hot. Now, if it's 31 degrees Fahrenheit, all right, is that going to be happening during a warm summer day, or is that going to be during the winter time where it's going to be 31 degrees out? All right, usually the summer we're anywhere from 70 to 90 degrees. All right, this is a cold day at 31. So C and D can get crossed off. Now we're only left with B. Now, the other thing is since we have 31, so it's a cold day, we have it overcast. The last thing it's telling us is that it's probable for snow. So 31 degrees, I'm going to write it right here, Fahrenheit, okay? 32 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the freezing point of water. So if it was to precipitate, right, you have a chance, because it's underneath the freezing point, that it's going to turn into snow if it precipitates. So that's why it says probably snow. So for 13, it's going to be letter B. All right. So those are the 2 sides of the worksheet that I gave you yesterday. Does anyone have any questions on this? Again, if you're watching this video later from now, okay, I'm going to post it on the Google Classroom. Shoot me a message and I will answer it, okay? But I just wanted to go over this right now and then kind of just tell you guys what we're going to do the rest of the week. All right, so really quick while you're looking at that, just give you the rundown for the rest of the week. So 2 things. I'm going to assign another worksheet tonight or today, it's going to be weather instruments. Okay. So it's going to kind of look something like this. So basically what it's giving you, it's a giant graph chart where it gives you the dry bulb temperature and the wet bulb temperature. Then it's going to ask you to give me the difference between, and then you're going to use the dew point temperature, which was a lot of questions on the chart for the homework. And then also is going to give you the relative humidity. So you're actually going to be using both of those, two of those charts from that page, okay? Just be careful that when you're giving me the dew point temperature, that you're actually looking at the right graph, okay? You don't want to flip-flop them and get them wrong. All right, so I'm going to post that right after this video, okay? The other thing is at the bottom, I want you guys to try this on your own, but we're going to go over it. It actually gives you the dew point difference, and then it gives you the dew point temperature and the relative humidity, okay? I want to see if you guys can be able to figure it out how to get the wet bulb temperature and the dry bulb, okay? If you're not sure how to do it, do the best you can. We're going to go over it on Friday when we meet at 1 o'clock, okay? All right, so that's the first thing. The next thing, so progress reports went out, or report cards went out yesterday, okay? I see that some people are still getting some of the assignments in. If you didn't get one of your assignments done in time, it does not hurt your grade. So don't think, just because I sent it back and I sent you a message, it does not hurt your grade whatsoever, okay? Basically, the only thing that happens is as long as you hand in something, it only can help your grade, okay? I wasn't going to be mean or anything with that. So that's basically it. All right, you're going to have a worksheet due Friday. I'm going to put up another thing, PowerPoint slides, because I'm going to give you guys a couple more days. And then on Monday, we're going to be going through warm fronts and cold fronts and how that affects hurricanes and tornadoes. And then after that, we're going to start looking at different weather maps. We're going to put it all together. Okay. So that's pretty much it for today. Does anyone have any questions? All right. If not, you know where to find me. All right. I'll see you guys later. See you on Friday.